Spoke to Dr. Cheng Li from the Brookings Institute. He's the Director of Research and Senior Fellow for the China Center. And I asked him about the impact of China's previous one-child policy.
If China did not adopt that policy, now this is not will not be like 1.3 or 1.4 billion people, will be 300 million more added to labor force. So as in a country, lack of resources, this will be a disaster. But now you see that because China adopted that policy, also the side effect and become quite serious. On the one hand, it's the first time in human history a major country has almost 100 million people come from a single-child family. But also, you will soon to see the labor shortage if it's not happened yet. That will create a shortage of laborers, but also raise issues how to take care of elderly. And at the same time, China rapidly moving towards aging society. So the Chinese system, whether economic system, social welfare system, to a certain extent that many other areas should do some adjustment. So that's the dilemma that China experiences and also the challenges that China faces now and in the coming years and decades.
It's an amazing story, the civilization of China and how it's evolved over the past couple of decades. A lot of people talk about this at the dinner table. But I want to talk about not just the one-child policy, but what's evolved over the last big announcement, which is the two-child policy. Is it in response to some of the challenges that you mentioned, or is it a solution to some of the demographic issues that are facing China when it comes to those who are working and those who are not?
I think it's both. A formal announcement and a gradual change for this kind of population adjustment, and it's really a very important move on the part of the Chinese government policy. It's certainly reflect China's demographic reality and also economic need for laborers in the future. So it's an excellent policy. Some scholars believe that China even should do more rather than just a two-child and two children, and etc. They should completely abolish that government policy in terms of birth control.
Do you think they should?
I think sooner or later, particularly if China faces a labor shortage, and China will move in that direction. But at the moment, I think from leadership perspective, they're still very much cautious.
The challenges facing China are certainly very unique to China, but not uncommon for the rest of the world. What makes it unique is the sheer size of the population, of the shift of demographics. And when you look at the challenges that are facing China, what's the number one issue that's facing those getting closer to retirement, those in their 50s and 60s?
Well, first of all, retirement age, and right now set is the right one, or people should work longer, that postpone the retirement age. And most importantly, you now face a situation that one child, when they grow up, they need to take every 4 elderlies, maybe even 6 elderlies, and etc. So that's a huge burden. Even, the grown-up really wanted to do a lot of things, but it's beyond your capacity. So China needs to establish a really important and the social welfare system to accommodate this challenge.
If there was one item, one thing you could recommend in terms of changing that policy that would help ultimately that generation, what would that be?
Well, I think that first to really make the economic transition from the previous model, which is based on cheap laborers and the export-led economy, to consumption-driven, innovation-driven economy, heavily emphasize service sector, and so let the people to consume more and to develop China's middle class, and therefore that could establish some financial system and to help a middle class family, and also establish social welfare system and in both rural and urban areas, including housing reform, healthcare reform, and also to some extent education reform as well. But most importantly, this is the Chinese leaders talk about harmonious society, but without this solid foundation to face that, to respond to that reality, demographic challenges, that will not go too far. So therefore, I think the fundamental change of China's economic model is the most important thing.
Dr. Cheng Li at the Brookings Institute, thank you.